go in your hives every 10 days. The bottom line is you need to be able to see if you have queen cells. You need to either take them out, put them in nuke boxes. If you don't have any eggs, I don't ever recommend taking every queen cell out. If you have super secedure cells, which are in the middle of the frames, I don't recommend taking them all out. Take some of them out, but not all of them out. Because if you don't have eggs, and you mess up and you take them all out, the bees don't have no way to make another queen. But if you're taking some out, say you're taking 2 frames out and you put them in nuke boxes, and you ended up queenless, and that was going to be part of my queen rearing talk, you could always put a queen back in your hive. You don't have to go chasing to go get a queen. You have a queen. You can make queens easy. Queens are the easiest things to make. The other thing, like he said, is starvation. Starvation will take your hive out. I got a new method for the starvation thing that I came up with this year. And I can't guarantee it'll work, but I believe it could really do a good job and help people. I took a frame and I put it on top of a box. And I took regular sugar, granulated sugar, and I poured it over the frame. And I took a paintbrush and I brushed it into the cells. And then I added a little pollen substitute into the cells with it. And I took a mister and I misted the frame. And then I was able to turn it over and do the other side. And I put it in the hive. And I think it'll act just like some people use sugar compressed on top of the hive. If the bees don't go crazy and start pulling it out, and dropping it on the bottom board, I'll find out, in another month, because it's in a nuke box. I know exactly what frame it was, and it's just another way to, if you're going to think you're going to go short on stores. Sometimes if you have a colony that is so small, even if you put candy on top of them, there's not enough heat in that hive to soften the candy so they could use it. When we were going down into Massachusetts, into the cranberries, we would start in Florida. They'd fly me down to Florida. We get 500 hives on the back of a tractor trailer, put a big net over them, jump in a flatbed, and head back to Maine. And when we got back to Maine, a lot of them needed feed, because just as we left Florida, they were pulling the honey off all the hives. So when they went from Florida to Maine, we would feed them sugar water. When they went from Sumner, Maine up into the blueberry barrens, then they would be in fairly good shape because they came from Florida to apples to blueberries. Once they left from blueberries, they were pretty low on stores. And then we'd have to take them down to Ocean Spray cranberries in Massachusetts over by Cape Cod. By then, they were just about out of everything. So we go to Walmart and buy 5-pound bags of sugar, hundreds of them, and bring them back and just start dumping them in the hives. Then the guy said to me, this was a commercial guy, and he knew that I kept bees here in the wintertime, which he never kept bees in Maine in the winter. He said, what do you think about candy boards? And I said, well, it's a heck of a lot easier than granulated sugar, because they just huzz it right out. As soon as you dump it in there, they're starting to pull it out, throwing out the door. And he had really good luck going through the whole pollination period with candy boards. You got to remember, though, in the barrens, it's awful damp. There's water everywhere up there. When you get down to cranberries, you're in cranberry bogs. So in Massachusetts, you got fog, humidity, dampness, all that. So candy boards for him worked out really well to keep his bees alive longer. I've seen bees come up from Florida where there was no stores in them at all. And the bees were on top of the hive just shivering, just shaking. And I took a bottle of sugar water that I had and I dumped it on the bees. Not poured it on them, but I put it on them. And I followed that hive after it came back. So it was just at the verge of starvation.
So how much sugar did you put on that frame when you did the sugar pollen substitute combo?
I filled up every hole. So I took it out of a 25-pound bag just with a scoop.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe a pound, maybe. It wasn't really a...
It wasn't the 5 pounds sitting there.
No, it wasn't the 5 pound, no, because I wanted it to go down in the cells.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be even with the cells, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to mist it so it stayed
So,
in the
yeah.
cells, so when I picked it up, it all didn't fall off. And I think, the bees, the bees really need a lot of protein, even in the wintertime, because all winter long, they're gonna wanna brood up somewhat. When the colony starts to go down, they need to get their numbers up a little bit. When they get their numbers up a little bit, just to keep the population going, and keep the hive warm.
So she'll lay in the winter like that?
Of course. She has to. Pardon?
I thought she pretty much stopped.
No, she has to lay in the wintertime. Some bees more than others. It all depends on how their colony is dropping off. If you go in your hives, put candy on them, what I do a lot of times is when I'm putting my candy boards on, which are a whole board that is full of hard candy, and I take it and I put it over like this. But when I take that board off, I look sometimes, and I'm looking at the bees. And if I look good enough for a couple of seconds, I can see small, blocky bees with a lot of fuzz on them. Those aren't your fall bees. Your fall bees are bald. The back of the bees on their thorax, they're bald. Well, the ones that you see flying out in the snow a lot of times, they flip upside down, they go around in circles. If you go pick them up, you'll find out they're old bees. They're not your young bees. This time of year, as the temperature comes up a little bit, you'll think 30 degrees is too cold. You'll see bees on a sunny day go out, land in the snow, start sucking water out of the snow. You could even, there's another experiment I like to tell people about is on a decent day, it doesn't have to be real warm, in the 30s, the sun's hitting your hive, go out and fill your water hole with about halfway full of snow. You'll see the bees coming up and trying to get the water. Because a lot of people use fiber boards and a lot of stuff to quilts, things like that. But the bees, when I put a candy board on, that's the end of any kind of thing to take care of humidity. The humidity goes in the candy or on the board and the bees suck it off. Anytime I take a board off and there's a big hole in it, it's dry as a bone. The bees need the moisture. I've never seen a hive die of sweating to death. I've seen a hive die because they died and started the rotten dull conversation. And I've never seen bees get soaking wet like people say, if you don't use this, you're going to get soaking wet bees, the water's going to run down on your bees, but I just never seen it. It's never, to me, it's never really been an issue. I do use a paper, I use newspaper, stapled to the top of my covers at the beginning of winter, like November, December, January, and then that comes off. I pull it all off.
When do you pull it?
January.
Yeah.
Another thing that helps your hives immensely is you put styrofoam on top of them. Because the cold, when the cold comes down, it comes down and hits your cover and then your inner cover, and that creates, and then you got warmth in here, then you create condensation. Or if you got a lot of snow, and you got a lot of snow on your hive, you'd be surprised. It makes, right now my hives, you guys got a lot of snow up here like we have. A lot of my hives are just about buried. I don't go shovel them out all the way around. I might leave the south side open and the front open, not all the way to the ground. I want the ground, I want that snow to be underneath the hive. I don't want wind coming underneath, and cooling off the bottom of the hive. I want it to be encased in snow. I've never seen a hive die buried in snow. There's a truth to insulation on a hive, but there's also, that's the good part about it. The bad part about it is come spring, the insulation keeps the hive colder than it should be because the sun can't get through. So you got a benefit in the winter, but then you got a negative come spring. It's like putting your bear in your cooler that's frozen and leaving it outside in the cold. It'll never thaw out. And that's what happens. The bees stay more in a cluster come spring. They're slower going.
What are you insulating your sides with?
I don't. I just use tar paper. We go around 3 sides and not in the front. Go right to here. Put 2 hives together. And they seem to either come to the front of the hive where the sun is, or one of the sides that has more sun than the other.
You paper the 2 together.
Paper 2 together. And I use sticks. If you go on the Happy Hive Farm Facebook page, you'll see me with 2 sticks. And we should have
I should know.
Stole. Well, anyway, I take 2 sticks. I was working with a guy, he had, between him and his son, had 700 hives. Well, I was the guy holding the paper, you know? So they'd be taking these candy boards off, shaking all the bees out, taking the newspaper out, and I'd be getting stung like crazy. One guy standing, I'm trying to hold the paper open for him while he's working on it. Well, why do I gotta hold the paper? I just take 2 sticks, run it down on the side of the beehive, and between the paper and the hive, and it holds everything open for me. And the reason he did it different than I did, he took it and wrapped it around to the front of the hive, about 4 inches on each side. So now if you gotta shake the bees off, what do you gotta do? You gotta pick it up through a tunnel.
Yeah.
If you leave the front open, I just take the cover like this, I lift it up, I hit it with my, anybody know what this is?
Powdered sugar.
Exactly. Confectionery sugar and a little bit of cinnamon. I hit it, I'll take it and I'll go like this to the bees, up here. I'll take it and hit the top of the hive with it. I'll put it down like this and I'll give it a thump like that. Don't ever thump it like this over the hive. I had a guy do that I was trying to teach. And before I could say stop, the bees were in the snow.
Oh.
So when you thump them off, you need to get it back here. And the bees won't fly a lot because you have the confectionery sugar on their wings. And then you could just put another candy board on. Sometimes I'll put the candy board on this hive. I have 2 hives together. As soon as I do this, I'll just slide it over like that and put it right on the hive. And in the wintertime, when it's really cold, like now, and even if you go on the Happy Hive Farm, you'll see one day I'm doing bees, it's 13 degrees out. The candy board's coming from my family room where the wood stove is. You seen the videos?
No.
Into my pickup truck, into the front seat, with the heat on, until I get to the yards I need to go to. It goes into a sled with a blanket to the hive. So within a couple of seconds, maybe 30, 40 seconds, the candy boards are out of the truck on top of the hive warm. So you're not chilling. The only thing you could hurt in a hive in the winter is the brood. You're not in them long enough to chill brood. You're only in them long enough to change the candy boards out. When I put them on warm, you're not doing any damage at all. But if you don't do it, there's a good chance your bees are going to starve. A lot of times they starve, and people will say, geez, I don't understand. I got honey in the bottom. Well, guess what? Bees come up, and they don't go back down until spring. And you'll find honey on each side. You'll find honey sometimes that far away from your brood. You're not going to move over that far. So when I'm doing candy boards, if I pick up a candy board and I got a hole in the middle of it, that's where the cluster is, that board comes off. I put a brand new one on. When I go home, I'll just fill in that hole. Because they're not going to move. I can't say to somebody, well, I had candy on them, because I know enough that they just don't move to go get what they need. I'll stay right there. So, yep.
Can we have a couple business things to do just for a few minutes and then?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm waiting for Bob anyway.
Okay. Borrezeli, Dale, and Ty